Alright guys, I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm super excited for this one because I'm getting back to Star Wars in-verse battles. Haven't done this in ages, so I'm super hyped. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment, all this. My main channel is Jobbers and Goons, so if you want to go check that out, feel free to do so. But yeah, this one's pretty simple. I was looking to do a Star Wars in-verse battle. I had an itch for it, one of those scaling itches, and I put this question out to both my main channel audience, my Discord server, all that. I was like, yo, what Star Wars in-verse battle would y'all want to see? This battle actually didn't come up, funny enough, but names were floated that I loved, and it came together that way. So this battle is two characters I personally think are super underrated in terms of what they brought to the table as combatants for their time, and that is Qui Gon Jinn, the master to Obi-Wan Kenobi, and Savage Opress, the brother to Darth Maul. Who would win if these two fought? I will be doing 2 rounds. First round is Prime Qui Gon Jinn versus Savage Opress, and then the second round will be Phantom Menace Qui Gon versus Savage. Let me know real quick down below who you think wins both rounds before we start off. But I'm so excited for this, guys. Again, thank you so much. Love you all, especially those coming over from my main channel. I'm excited to do this content. Without further ado, let's begin. So, first character I am going to cover is Savage Opress. Savage is a Zabrakian male from Dathomir, made famous during the Clone Wars. Savage was the younger brother to former Sith apprentice and famed Sith assassin Darth Maul. Opress was one of the most formidable characters during an era in which most combatants were well attuned to violence. And this prowess was due to his physicality and raw power in the Force. He learned some of this under Dooku, but flourished under the guidance of his brother Maul after finding him in the Outer Rim. Maul impressed upon Savage the importance of moving in chaos and confusion like a true Sith warrior, becoming a juggernaut on the battlefield. Savage was made to be a physical brute by physical mystic enhancements given to him by the dark arcane ways of the Night Sisters. This enhancement, on top of his natural Zabrakian toughness, allowed Savage to endure insane, short-term Sith boot camp under Dooku. Dooku used his own Sith lightning and brutally worked on Savage to quickly help turn Savage into a legitimate threat to Jedi. This included early missions, like one where Savage was sent to a temple, where he slaughtered Jedi and Republic members alike. There seems to be a massive disconnect in the community when it comes to the power and skill of Savage. And it's funny too, by the way, because if you know me from my main channel, I'm known as a Maul hater. Like, I'm not fond of the character because he jobs, but I actually liked Savage. Most view him as a dumb force of nature, reliant upon simply bulldozing characters. This isn't entirely true. Savage managed to quickly rise under Dooku, and learned just as fast under Maul. What really cut Savage short was his untimely end, thanks to the Chad himself, Darth Sidious. Besides that, Savage was on his way to potentially maybe even surpassing Maul according to some guidebooks. He, to me, at least showcases some skill in Shicho, Jimso, Naman, and Juyo. Knowing several lightsaber forms is no joke, and to use the 7th form, you must have some intrinsic knowledge on the prior 6 forms. This, on top of everything else, leads me to believe and ultimately think Savage had knowledge to some extent on all of the forms, and he was a natural in Juyo fighting type. Who knows how skilled he could have ended up as a duelist. And real quick, to address this skill hype, I guess I'm putting to Savage, you gotta understand, there are certain naturally talented duelists that did show prowess in forms they weren't known to practice. They just were inherently good at them. So he doesn't have to know all the forms to be inherently good at Juyo type fighting. For example, Anakin against Dooku in the Clone Wars displayed dual wield fencing, which he's not known for, and he was really damn good at it. So it is possible for you to inherently be good at a style and not be well versed on it, if that makes sense. But regardless, worst case, Savage was a naturally gifted duelist, and I think he's hated on by a lot of Star Wars scalers in terms of his dueling capabilities. Savage had multiple well-known duels in his time as a Sith brute. Savage dueled the likes of Asajj, Count Dooku, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Anakin Skywalker, Plo Koon, and even briefly held off a trolling Darth Sidious. This easily puts Savage in a respectable class as a lightsaber duelist. Savage excelled at using his strength to leverage absurd, brutal lightsaber and physical strikes to completely wear you down. As a duo, Savage was the enforcer between himself and Maul. Maul used his brother as a juggernaut to tear through enemy forces, as Maul followed up with his speed and skill. Although he never got close to his potential, Savage reached a point where Maul could even trust him to take on Jedi Masters, and Maul was able to take over the Mandalorians with the help of Savage. Savage was fast on the battlefield, only further enhanced by force augmentation. He even held a couple edges over Maul that, in theory, made it possible for him to beat Maul if he played his cards right. This is due to Savage being physically superior and having the advantage in raw power in the Force. Maul has easily thrown around Kenobi with the Force, yet Savage is his superior in raw power and potential. Savage also was fast enough to get the drop on Jedi Masters like Plo Koon. This easily puts Savage in the FTL range, as even Jedi Padawans can react to lasers. Now, getting over to tendencies and personality, Savage is a sadistic fighter. He will disrespect you and brutalize you. This was shown when a Jedi implied Savage was a coward. This led to the Jedi getting de-limbed before they could even react. Savage also showed if he doesn't kill you, he will take the time to torture you. He wishes to do so, as Plo Koon, after defeating the Master, he exposed his weakness and was like just letting him die slowly and thought it was, brutal. And he enjoys that sort of stuff. This durability and toughness you see that comes from Savage Opress is a multi-layer deal when it comes to Savage. Savage possesses powerful will as a result of the pain and suffering from his Sith training. He also showed he can withstand pain and attacks and focus through it. This was proven when he stood up under Dooku's lightning and lifted several ton stones. He also can take lightsaber hits and bolts due to his armor and toughness and force augmentation. His maturity as a fighter was made obvious by the improvement in the sophistication in his style. Savage incorporates physical strikes and powerful force pushes in his style to best utilize his attributes as a fighter. Mid-swing, he can level a powerful TK blast to send you flying. His rage amps his blasts and his augmentations, and it is best to take him out early to avoid both the rage and the amps. He physically strikes harder than Anakin, whose attacks have been compared to meteor strikes. His raw force AP is above Maul's, who can push massive ships and ragdoll Jedi alike. Overall, Savage was one of the most intimidating and game-changing characters in the Clone Wars era. Savage was massive, physically outclassing basically all of his matchups, at least in strength. He was an underrated duelist, as he was smart enough to leverage his best aspects of a fighter. His dual-end lightsaber blade could serve as a one- or two-bladed weapon, adding to his versatility. He would wear you down and combine the force and his physicality to break you. His headbutts even killed Jedi thanks to the spikes on his skull. Savage can ragdoll multiple tons with his TK pushes, has precog from the force, can rage amp himself, and overall, Opress was a true threat on the battlefield as a rogue Sith juggernaut, and will be remembered for his brutal nature and physical dominance. Now, all this seems like a lot, but I promise you, Qui Gon Jinn brings a lot to the table that makes this battle straight up badass. So, first we're going to go over I'm just going to go over the lore of Qui Gon, honestly, in general, how strong he should be, the different areas he scales to, and we'll talk about his prime versus Phantom Menace, because that will be the 2 rounds. Now, you know what? I think I'll throw in a bonus 3rd round. Hit the like button, because I just added a bonus round for you bitches. But anyways, this bonus round will be a hypothetical Prime Savage versus Prime Qui-Gon. Alright, so getting into Qui Gon Jinn, Qui Gon, nicknamed the Maverick, was always a bit different from the other Jedi, as he was a lot more in tune with the living Force and in tune with the natural, holistic side of the Force. That is, Qui-Gon lived to serve the Force and believed the natural flow of the Force through him and everybody else would guide him through life and lead him to the decisions that needed to be made, because obviously a transcendental power like the Force has much greater knowledge on reality than someone like Qui-Gon could ever know. And this humility was often mistaken for rebelliousness, as oftentimes he was kind of at odds with the Jedi code. But this is mostly due to Qui-Gon trusting the source more than the middleman, with the source being the Force, the middleman being Jedi teachings and traditions. I hate to say it, Jedi fans, but some of the traditions were wrong, and Qui-Gon kind of proved it. But regardless, in his prime, the reason Qui-Gon was so formidable is a couple reasons. One, who taught him, right? His master was Count Dooku. Count Dooku being one of the most renowned and dangerous lightsaber duelists and one of the greatest Jedi to ever walk the halls of the Jedi Temple. He is known for sparring and stalemating with Yoda, sparring with Mace, and even known to have beaten him at certain points in sparring. One of the smartest Jedi to ever live. One of the most diplomatic, probably the most diplomatic Jedi we had seen. All of this, absolute pinnacle of Makashi dueling style. Like, he was the perfect master of it. There's so many things Count Dooku brought to the table. And he took Qui-Gon under his wing, right? And this is something crazy you guys need to understand. Count Dooku, with his placement in the Jedi Order, when he was a Jedi, taught everybody. He was like Yoda. Literally, it's shown in comics, him and Yoda sparring and teaching all the Jedi, right? This is important because Count Dooku refers to Qui-Gon as one of the, if not the greatest Jedi he ever taught or ever had the privilege of giving guidance to, right? This is crazy because that basically compares Qui-Gon to everybody. And that'll make sense in a little bit as we get more into Qui-Gon. Now, in terms of what made him such a powerful Jedi, was a couple things. One, his attunement to the Force. This allowed incredible precog, timing, and physical augmentation as he let the Force naturally flow through him. And I would call Qui-Gon like a weight bully. He was a massive Jedi, well over 6 feet tall, close to 6.5. And he was known for ragdolling opponents casually, lifting grown men and fellow Jedi or Sith off their feet, even backhanding Darth Maul when he was out of his prime. Like he was, a weakling, and Darth Maul's a savage. Qui-Gon's prowess physically made him a very dangerous duelist, and he combined it with an interesting style for someone with his physical gifts. Now, when I first learned of Qui-Gon, I thought it was weird he used a Taru because he's a big dude. He was slower when we saw him first, and he was more of a physical brute fighter. Well, Prime Qui-Gon was fast. In fact, Prime Qui-Gon was faster than Obi-Wan Kenobi, who we know Apprentice / Padawan Kenobi can keep up with Darth Maul and even tag him. Qui-Gon was also just slightly slower than Count Dooku when Qui-Gon was an apprentice under Dooku. So, Apprentice Qui-Gon was almost as fast as Dooku. And so it stands to reason that Prime Qui-Gon is damn near close to as fast as Dooku, if not straight up as fast, which makes him stupidly powerful to consider in terms of when he was in his prime. Obviously, with the Force, he's kind of simple in how he approaches the offensive and defensive capabilities of the Force, but I do think it's worth noting that this is mostly due to his trust in the natural Force, so he doesn't go and try to manipulate it and enforce different type of styles upon it, right? He just lets it free. But he has shown prowess in TK, being able to force push pretty powerfully. He also is capable of force augmentation, obviously being able to hit Darth Maul so hard he actually rocked Maul the first time they fought, according to the Legends journals, and it rocked the entire ship, just him hitting Maul when Maul first pulled up. Qui-Gon was pissed. But yeah, he's stupidly powerful, has great force augmentation, great precog and sense through the Force. His Jedi mind trick is spectacular. In fact, he was able to manipulate a hut when even Return of the Jedi Luke was unable to do, when Luke himself was able to kind of manipulate Vader. So it's quite impressive what Qui-Gon has demonstrated in terms of his mental manipulations. He's also well in tune with the battlefield, noting differences in the battle, as well as minor things like footwork, adjustments of footwork, and how they can devastate a fighter. This makes him very dangerous as a one-on-one duelist. And overall, he also had one of the best resumes for a Jedi of his time, known for decades of work throughout the galaxy, arguably having the most missions for Jedi of his time, if not some of the most. And this activity is what mostly led to his physical decline and him getting weaker, because he had so much mileage on him. Like, he was the Maverick. He was out here doing wild shit. But overall, Qui Gon Jinn, I personally feel, is one of the most slept on Jedi combatants ever. He's an amazing character, and I am very excited to have him here in this versus battle. So, round one, Prime Qui-Gon versus Savage. How do I see this playing out? I think Qui-Gon melts him in this round. Prime Qui-Gon being at least relative, if not as fast as Count Dooku, who is much younger and faster than the versions we saw. Stalemate Yoda? Ridiculous. As well as his analytical mindset in the battle, noticing little things like footwork, being able to break that down and expose it. I believe this would allow, as well as Battle Masters of the time said Qui-Gon wasn't that far off from Mace tier before Phantom Menace. So that is worth noting. I think his brilliance as a duelist, his toughness as a fighter, his strength. I mean, we've seen Kenobi hold his own against Savage in strength when he was pissed. And Prime Qui-Gon is way stronger than Kenobi was. He's just way bigger, way more physically powerful. I definitely think he can withstand early blows from Savage and end it pretty quickly with a calculated strike. I think this fight would go similar to how Kenobi did, except Qui-Gon might be a little more aggressive. He's going to strike back and manipulate Savage's over-aggressive strikes early and make him pay for it. And I think he wins 8 to 9 times out of 10 for Prime. I think it's pretty rough, that round for Savage. Now, Phantom Menace versus Savage is interesting. This is... It's tough to call. Savage is better with the Force in terms of offensive application, I believe. I think he shows a little better versatility in the Force on the offensive side, at least more applications in battle. I think Qui-Gon can definitely hold its own. I think, obviously, durability goes to Savage. Gas tank will go to Savage. battle IQ goes to Qui-Gon once again. Skill goes to Qui-Gon once again. Obviously, Qui-Gon had a very long battle with Phantom Menace Darth Maul and got worn out at the end because he was out of Prime. But he did win the first fight with Maul. When Maul ran up on him, Maul admitted he couldn't beat Qui-Gon. So this is a lot closer. But I do think an exhausted Qui-Gon would take down the overambitious, excited, and dangerous Savage through a calculated strike at the end of the battle. I think Qui-Gon takes damage, though, just the raw power of Savage raging especially will be a lot for Qui Gon to deal with from Phantom Menace. But I do think he's smart enough to get Savage out of there faster than before Qui Gon will run out and die. I think he wins like 6 out of 10. I think Phantom Menace Maul beats Savage, right? Qui-Gon gave him a terrific fight, even beat him the first time they fought. So that should tell you a lot. I do think Qui-Gon takes it this round too, 6 out of 10. Final round, hypothetical Prime Savage would have been above Maul. It was confirmed in a guide. With his physical dominance, his natural propensity towards lightsaber combat, already his feats as a lightsaber duelist, and his potential in the Force, I think Savage would have been enough in his prime to beat Qui-Gon 6 to 7 times out of 10. Probably 8 if it's Phantom Menace Qui-Gon, 6 to 7 if it's Prime Qui-Gon. But yeah, Savage was supposed to be an absolute monster, died the plot, and because he's not seen later on. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. It's been your boy Jobbers and Goons. I hope you love this video. Shout out to the coffee shop. This is my second channel, as well as home to a bunch of other awesome content creators, so look out for our content. Thank you so much again for watching. Run the likes up, and I will see y'all later. Peace.